What's up guys, Jerome here from the Bonsai Supply, and today we are going to turn this Japanese maple into a root over rock. Now first and foremost, if you have not seen this video where I first gave this tree its very first styling, drop everything that you're doing, go down into the description and click on the link where you see how I styled this tree. If you have seen the video, continue watching of course. So this is a Mikawa maple, which is a Japanese maple, which means that the leaves are kind of like overlapping each other and the growth is very tight, which is a really cool species for making a very dense canopied Japanese maple. They're also very vigorous growers, and now is the perfect time to go ahead and turn this tree into a root over rock. And what we want to look for in Japanese maples is, number one, when we repot them, we want to make sure that the temperatures are above freezing, so 35 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and we want to make sure that the temperatures don't drop anymore below freezing. If they do, however, make sure that you protect your freshly repotted tree. Move it inside into your greenhouse or garage. Just make sure the temperatures don't drop below 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, if you look very close at the buds, you can see that they just start to pop, which is a great sign for me to go ahead and do this procedure to this Japanese maple. Alright, so the first step, we're going to go ahead and set up the pot. Alright, so now that the pot is set up, we're going to go ahead and take this tree out of its pre-bonsai container, and we are going to start to rake out the roots. And so what you want to make sure is that we remove as much of the black soil as possible, since this tree is going on top of a rock. Alright, so what I can see right away is that most of the roots are down here, which is fairly typical. So that means that I can rake this black soil off fairly easily, as you can see. I just use a chopstick and it just breaks apart. Now the Mikawa Japanese maples, they put on a really nice show in the fall. The leaves, they turn a really dark red and it just looks really beautiful. So I can't wait to see the leaves turn in this fall. Alright, so the reason why I'm using a wooden chopstick and not a rake to go ahead and rake out all the soil here is because I don't know where all these thicker roots are. And if I use a metal rake, I might actually scratch and damage these roots. So that's why for the big stuff in here, I use a wooden chopstick, and then I use the rake for more like areas like down here, for instance, right here, to rake out the sides. That goes really well with a rake, but around the root base, use a chopstick. Alright, so as you can see, I raked out all of the black soil, and what's remaining here is just a big block of fibrous roots. So I'm going to go ahead and take my saw and just cut through the bottom so that we can remove this part, and then start to clean out from the inside and really loosen up these roots. Alright, so if you look at this tree from the front, this root here can be easily maneuvered, but the one below is quite thick, and that one is going to hold us back when we try to place this tree on the rock. So therefore I'm just going to go ahead and take this root off already. Alright, so I did a number of things to reduce this root ball here. I used a rake, a chopstick, a little electric saw, I used some water, and it was a really hard job to get all of the roots out, but it was necessary in order for this tree to be able to fit it at the angle that I want to onto the rock. So even though this was very drastic, I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to survive easily. I left a lot of fibrous roots down here, and as the tree is pushing, all of the water movement is already in the tree, so I know it's going to be a safe procedure to do so. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach the tree at the angle to the pot, And what I do is I use a combination of wire and aquarium tubing, which you can find at any pet store. And that's just so that we don't scar the roots as the tree gets attached to the rock. Alright, so this is the finished composition for today. So after I applied the cables with the aquarium tubing to make sure that we don't scar the trunk as we tie it onto the rock, and this is on here really firm, that's what you want. It's pressed up right against the rock. And then I used some fresh garden moss, and this is not sphagnum moss, so I didn't have to wear gloves to protect myself. This was safe to do. And the reason why I use fresh moss is because it keeps the moisture in much better. And so all these cut surfaces in here, where I press the moss up against, I'm trying to keep that a little bit moist for the next couple of months, so it's going to act like an air layer almost. Because the roots down here are attached to the soil. Up here we have the exposed areas, and so roots are going to come out hopefully out of all of these cut surfaces, and it's going to look even better than it does today. So now I'm just going to move this tree. I'm going to give it morning sun as every day, and then move it into the shade in the afternoon. Once summer hits though, I'm going to make sure that this tree is completely in the shade, and I'm not going to do anything else to this tree for the rest of the year. I'm just going to let it freely grow to regain strength and vigor. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Please let me know what you think, how this root over rock turned out. And if you have any questions on maples, also comment below, and I'll catch you guys next time. All right.